Hello and welcome. Today we're going to be talking about new fragrance releases and discussing whether or not we want to purchase them and why. This is a series I do here every single Monday on this channel. I also publish additional content on Wednesdays and Fridays along with a ton of bonus content in between. So if you're interested, do consider subscribing. Full disclosure, yes, it is July and I'm wearing a sweater. I just wanted to feel cozy today. The AC is pumping, so I may or may not regret it. I'm not sure, but I'm looking very fall today, and for that I apologize. But sometimes a girl just wants to feel cozy, so that's why I am looking like this today. Sweater, big hair. I tried a new shampoo, and I don't know what to do with myself because usually I do not get this much volume. So yeah, it's that kind of day today. So there is a lot to cover this week. We have a few really interesting like indie releases, a niche, some designers. So there's definitely going to be a good mix in here, and there's a lot to cover. So I'm just gonna get right on into it. First up we have some new fragrances from Haramain. These are going to be some L'Aventure flankers. We have L'Aventure Iris, Grapefruit, and CL. I'm going to start off with the L'Aventure Iris. So this is going to be an aromatic citrus perfume with top notes of green notes, bergamot, cardamom, lemon, a mid of aromatic notes, clary, sage, patchouli, cedarwood, lavender, jasmine, and iris, and then a base of vanilla, benzoin, amber, and musk. Not gonna lie, after seeing the name and then seeing the scent pyramid, I'm a little bit intrigued because for me, iris just usually is not accompanied by all of these like green, aromatic, and citrusy notes. So I'm curious about this one. I feel like this will be a masculine leaning scent. There's no other information about this except that this is going to be the bright purple packaging, and those are the notes. So I'm curious about this one. I feel like this will be a fun fragrance to wear for the summertime. I am kind of intrigued by the fact that this is like a bright purple packaging and the notes seem to be a little bit masculine. Yes, they're trying to market this to be a unisex fragrance, but still I do think that we have primarily masculine notes here, and the fact that this is like bright purple is kind of jarring to me. That's just my first initial opinion, but I do think that this is a scent composition that I would personally be interested in trying out. This does seem to be rather interesting. I do have the L'Aventure Parfum perfume, and to be quite honest, I do like that fragrance, but the packaging does throw me off, and I would say the same is true for these. The packaging of the L'Aventure Parfum and masculine fragrances tend to be like this like very plasticky metal, which I'm not a super fan of, but I don't know. This is like a scent that I would be interested in trying. Would I actually buy it? I don't know. But moving on to the grapefruit one, this is going to be a floral fruity fragrance with top notes of black currant, red berries, grapefruit, and lychee, a mid of lily of the valley, almond blossom, magnolia, jasmine, freesia, melon, rose, and iris, and then a base of sandalwood, patchouli, vanilla, benzoin, vetiver, caramel, and musk. Now, this sounds really good. I'm actually really tempted by this one, especially with the incorporation of the melon and caramel and lychee. Those are notes that I always find myself intrigued by whenever I'm looking at fragrances in general. So I feel like this would be a fun one. I am curious about this one. Despite the packaging maybe not being my favorite, I feel like the notes are calling my attention enough, so I might be willing to overlook that. Of course, I know I'm being really picky, but when it comes to perfumes, I've talked about this time and time again on this channel. Sometimes you just want to have a nice experience, and if you have a pretty bottle, that adds to the experience, and if you have a bottle that's not the best, to me, that takes away from the experience. So I'm less inclined to spend money on a fragrance that doesn't look good, because I'm not going to sacrifice part of that experience just to have a fragrance that smells good if the bottle is not going to be amazing. Because let's be honest, there are hundreds, thousands of fragrances out there, so I'm going to be rather discerning about what I spend my money on. So next up we have L'Aventure Ciel. So this is French for cloud. So this is going to be a fragrance that has top notes of bergamot, citrus, and lemon, a mid of violet leaf, jasmine, tea, and lavender, and then a base of sandalwood, ambergris, and musk. I'm very curious about that jasmine tea note. I feel like with the lemon, it would be absolutely stunning. I Love this. I feel like this would be a very interesting release. And if I have to rank these fragrances by the one I'm most excited about to least excited about, I would say I'm most excited about L'Aventure Grapefruit. Then I am also interested in L'Aventure Ciel. And then finally, last but not least, is L'Aventure Iris. Not that I wouldn't like to try it, but I would say that would be my ranking in terms of what I'm most interested in versus least interested in. But of course, all of these look very, very interesting. Another fragrance, this one is by Alfred Ritchy. This is called Nassau. And this is going to be a sweet vanilla scent with top notes of raspberry, bergamot, coconut, and pear, made of whipped cream, lavender, and praline, and then a base of ambergris, vanilla, cedar, musk, and moss. This seems fun. It seems really interesting. I do love a vanilla. Who doesn't? Especially with that raspberry. I feel like this would be a good one. I haven't really tried anything from Alfred Ritchy, but this does seem to be an intriguing fragrance. Of course, coconut makes it a perfect contender for the summertime. So I would say this one is also something I'm intrigued in. So it's a smash. In terms of smash or pass, this one is a smash. So yeah, I'm curious about this one. They seem to be doing they seem to have a lot of other fragrances inspired by like locations and experiences, so that's always intriguing. So this one is one I'd be interested in trying. Another fragrance from Jo Malone. So this one is called Orange Marmalade, and this is a fragrance that has top notes of orange peel, a mid of bitter orange, and then a base of cashmere wood. Am I the only one that doesn't like marmalade? I'm sorry if you love marmalade. I think I've tried it once and maybe I just didn't get it. But this, I feel like, okay, would I love to have marmalade to eat? Probably not, but I would be intrigued to smell it in a fragrance. So this one is one I would be interested in. I don't know if this is limited edition. Oh, this is cute. It's inspired by Paddington. Paddington is like that bear character. He's like, it's a pretty like common like children's character, and his whole thing is he's from Peru and he loves and is obsessed with marmalade. So this is fun. I think it's cute. Realistically, would I add this to my collection? I don't know, but I feel like this would be a fun one. I feel like this is a fun concept, and who knows, this might be like the perfect refreshing summer fragrance with like that orange, like that bitter orange. Sometimes bitter notes or like tart notes can make a fragrance more refreshing than say a sweet note. So I find that very fascinating, and whenever it comes to fragrances that I really want to wear in the summer heat, sometimes I'll go for fragrances with that little edge. I'll go for like a bitter or a tart fragrance because to me that's going to be more refreshing than like a cloying fragrance, like a cloying sweet fragrance. Next up, we have La French from Byron Parfums. This is, I can tell by the accords, it's going to be an interesting one. So we have top notes of coriander, almond, fruit, and citrus, a mid of vanilla absolute, white musk, and orris, and then a base of sandalwood and ambergris. This is quite a departure from what we've seen from Byron in the past. So Byron is kind of known for making those like very intense gourmand perfumes, whether it be like a fruity perfume or their caramel perfume, that double caramel fragrance that they came out with. This is a little bit of a departure for that. This is going to be more powdery, a little bit, dare I say, probably more elegant. I'm very interested in this one. I have been loving like almond notes, musky sandalwood fragrances, especially for the summertime recently. So this is definitely one I would be interested in trying. Yes, they do have fruits here, but it appears that that will be taking a bit of a back seat, with the focus being on the vanilla, white musk, and sandalwood. That is, of course, my pure speculation, but this is a fragrance that I would very much be interested in trying out. A new fragrance from Snif. This is going to be called Rose Era, and this one is an interesting one because it's going to be a unisex floral perfume, and it has notes of woody notes, rose, strawberry, dewdrop, ambrette, saffron, pear, moss, soap, organox, rose, and fabric. Quite fascinating. So essentially it seems like they're going for a lighter, fresher take on the rose note. I think this will be fascinating. It's a fruity, woody, aquatic fragrance with a bit of a mossy undertone. I feel like rose is one of those notes that people who don't know about fragrances or people who just are new to fragrance usually shy away from rose, but rose can be done in so many different ways. Yes, you have like that perfumey rose, but sometimes rose can be fresh, it can be dark, it can be fruity. There's so many ways to go about it. So this is definitely one I would be interested in trying. I believe Snif is available at Ulta, so the next time I go there, I'm definitely going to check this one out and see if they have this new fragrance in stock, because I want to try it out. I'm very curious about this. I feel like there's so many different notes in here, so it could go like a variety of different ways, right? So you have the fruity notes of the pear and the strawberry, and then you have the floral, and then you have the moss, and then you have a soapy note. So there are many different directions this can go, and I am definitely curious about trying this one out. Plus, Snif is pretty affordable when it comes to their price point. Their full bottles are about $65, and then they have some travel sizes available for $20. So that's not bad at all, very accessible, and they have some rather inventive scents as well. This next fragrance by Acro is inspired by clubbing. This is going to be called Acro Glow, and it contains notes of vanilla, ambergris, pink pepper, and incense. It's supposed to be a fragrance for nightclub regulars, and it's meant to attract others and favorably distinguish yourself from them by your fabulous scent. This is going to be a sweet amber woody fragrance, and I think what's interesting about this one is that yes, this is going to be a sweet ambery woody fragrance, and I would think that this is going to probably be like a darker take on vanilla, darker, more ambery take on a vanilla note. I'm interested in trying this one out. To be honest, I haven't familiarize myself too much with Acro's offerings. I've sampled a few of what they have to offer. I don't own any samples or decants though, so I can't really speak to Acro as a brand. I would be interested in trying this one out. Some of their fragrances I've like very much been surprised by, others not so much. So I still am curious about trying this one. I feel like this will be an interesting option, especially if you love vanilla. A new designer fragrance by Prada. This is called Paradoxe Virtual Flower, a flanker of their Paradoxe fragrance, of course. And this has notes of bergamot, jasmine accord, and neroli, as well as a base of musk and ambret. So Prada Paradoxe is pretty much known for that neroli. That's like their signature, so of course they're going to include that here. I think Paradoxe is definitely one of the designer fragrances that stands out to me as being a little bit more unique and a little bit more fun and inventive. So this is something I would be interested in trying, but I don't own Paradoxe personally, so I don't know if I'd rush out to buy this right away, but I would be interested in trying this one. So if you are a fan of the Prada Paradoxe DNA with that neroli, this might be something worth looking into. Another designer fragrance by Jimmy Choo. This is I Want Choo Le Parfum, and it comes in a bright gold bottle, and it has notes of pear, jasmine, and amber. So quite simplistic in the scent pyramid, but of course you have that signature jasmine paired with a pear, which is becoming a little bit of more of a trendy note. We're seeing a lot of releases with pear and with that amber base. But I do want to give you my honest thoughts about I Want Choo, just like as a fragrance lineup in general, because I have some opinions. So generally, I told you I'm a stickler for packaging and bottle design. I like the scent of I Want Choo's fragrances, particularly that almond one. I believe it comes in the gray bottle. I love that one. I think it's great. The reason why I don't own I Want Choo yet is because the bottle is just not my cup of tea whatsoever. I just think it's like weird. I don't think it looks pretty. I think it looks ugly. So that's why like this would realistically, this would be a pass for me. Would I try it? Absolutely. It's a designer fragrance. It's available everywhere. I will be trying it. I will likely be communicating my thoughts to you on it, but am I realistically gonna buy it myself? Likely not. This is just not a fragrance that's calling my name. It's not a fragrance that I want to experience, purely because it's just not a perfume that's for me. I don't think so, because I don't like the bottle, and I used to work I used to work in retail. If you work in retail, you know sometimes people are just confused. And when I tell you, people would constantly take like that. For those of you who are not familiar with the Jimmy Choo scents, that little ball at the top, that's not a cap. That's literally the atomizer. You're supposed to push and the fragrance is supposed to come out. Some people think that is the cap. So literally, people would walk in and they would try to yank the cap off and they wouldn't put it back on. So more likely or more often than not, we would have a situation where we'd be missing a part of the fragrance and there's no way to spray the perfume without the little part of the atomizer. So we'd have to make testers again. So it's just like a very funky bottle design. I don't know if it's very user friendly, but I don't know. Maybe it's just my experience. I don't love it. I don't think it's the greatest. It's not my favorite. Maybe you feel differently. I don't know. You tell me. Do you think this is cute? No judgment here, but that's just my opinion. That is my personal opinion. Next, we have Mojito Erotique by Renoir Parfum. This is a fragrance inspired by mojitos at mojitos. And this is a perfume with top notes of lime, bergamot, lemon peel, ice, bitter orange, mint, and coconut. A heart note of coconut water, white rum, and sugar, and then a base of patchouli and vanilla. I don't know about you, but when it comes to fragrances for the summertime, sometimes like fragrances with like a slight alcohol inspiration or like a slight cocktail inspiration or tea can be very interesting and rather inventive fragrances to wear when it's really hot out. So like imagine instead of like wearing like your typical citrus fragrance, you're wearing a fragrance inspired by a fun cocktail with refreshing notes. That's a little bit more inventive. I personally think that's an ideal way to go about a fragrance in the summertime. So I'm very curious about fragrances that smell like a cocktail, that smell like an earthy kind of refreshing cocktail. That's why like the new Orbella fragrance, the green one, I like the scent of that one so much because it reminds me a little bit of like a refreshing cocktail. So therefore, this is a fragrance brand I'm not super interested in, but I am intrigued by this scent because it seems like the ideal refreshing fragrance for the summertime, but a rather inventive take on it. So I feel like with this fragrance, you wouldn't smell typical. You could smell a little bit different, but at the same time, this is one of the fragrances that you likely could spray on and you can easily feel refreshed and rejuvenated even if it is super super hot outside. But yeah, those are all the fragrances I want to cover today. You know, sometimes I can be very particular, but I think with this video, most everything was something that I was intrigued by or at least interested in trying out or sampling. Not saying that the fragrances I dislike I would never want to try, but sometimes, I mean, we can be a little bit particular in this video, in these videos. These videos are meant for us to look at new fragrance releases and really be methodical about what we want to purchase, what we want to add to our collections. Because I think that sometimes with so many new releases coming out constantly, it's important to sit back and be objective about it. Yes, you have a lot of things that are going to be super hyped, but I do think it's important to be very methodical about what you want to spend your money on, especially in a world of overconsumption, it feels like. But yeah, thank you so much for watching till the end of this video. I do hope this was useful to you, and I hope you enjoyed this one, and I will see you next time. Bye.